Cup fans planning to attend matches at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. A round-trip train ticket from New York to New Jersey, it's going to cost you $150. The usual price, about $13.
The US president has now said that Iran should not play in the World Cup for their own life and safety.
With all due respect to current world leaders, football is bigger than them, and football will survive their regime, their government, their slogans.
15 million ticket requests per day for 33 days straight. FIFA says the 2026 World Cup is the most in-demand sporting event in human history. 48 teams, 104 matches, 16 cities across 3 countries. Gianni Infantino called it 1,000 years of World Cups at once. And for a while, everyone believed it. The world was coming to America. Tom Brady filmed the promo. Trump got a Peace Prize. 2 million tickets sold. Then people started doing the math. A Category 1 final ticket, $10,990. The train to get there, $150. Visa bond to enter the country, up to $15,000, assuming you're even allowed in. So the real question isn't who bought tickets, it's who's actually going to show up, and who just found out they can't. The pitch was simple. Take the biggest sporting event on Earth, expand it from 32 teams to 48, and spread it across the 3 richest countries in the Western Hemisphere. 11 American cities: Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Seattle, plus Toronto and Vancouver in Canada, plus Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Monterrey. The largest tournament in history, the first ever co-hosted by 3 nations. FIFA's revenue projections put this cycle at over $11 billion. That's billion, with a B, a 71% jump over the last World Cup cycle, and the partnership behind it looked solid. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has been in almost every major Trump photo op since January 2025. He gave Trump the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize at the Kennedy Center in December. He opened a FIFA office inside Trump Tower. A World Cup trophy replica has been sitting in the Oval Office for years. Everything was in place. The stadiums were ready. The ticket infrastructure was live. The promise was that the whole world would show up in June. But this story doesn't start in June. It starts with the first time somebody tried to buy a ticket. For the first time in World Cup history, FIFA introduced dynamic pricing. Same model the airlines use, same model concert resellers use. The price changes based on demand, which means in a tournament with 150 million ticket requests, the price only ever goes one direction. When sales opened, the most expensive final ticket, Category 1, sat at $6,370. By early 2026, it was up to $8,700. Then in April, FIFA opened another sales window and hiked it again. $10,990 for one seat. That's not a typo, by the way. NPR went through the numbers. 40 out of 104 games got price hikes in that single sales window. Not small ones either. Some jumps ran over 30%. The fans noticed. In March, 69 Democratic members of Congress signed a letter to Infantino personally. They said dynamic pricing would make this, quote, the most financially exclusionary and inaccessible World Cup to date. That same month, a European fan group filed a formal complaint with the European Commission. Some European countries have laws that force face value resale. FIFA's model breaks those laws. Infantino's defense was that FIFA only has one revenue event every 4 years. That's true. FIFA is also projecting $11 billion in revenue for this cycle alone. And nobody is asking why one seat costs more than the annual income of most of the countries that qualified. That's the kind of number that makes accountants cry. But we haven't even gotten to the actual cost of showing up yet. Bought the ticket? Congratulations. Now try getting to the stadium. NJ Transit announced round-trip fare from Manhattan to MetLife Stadium for World Cup matches. $150. The normal fare for that same 15-minute 9-mile ride, $12.90. That's an 11.6 times increase on a train ride that hasn't changed. Same track, same 15 minutes. Can't afford the train? Park at the American Dream Mall. $225. Can't afford the parking? Walk. You can't walk. NJ Transit and the host committee officially prohibit it. The roads aren't pedestrian friendly. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer held a press conference on this. His exact words were, and I quote, "What the hell? Who the hell do you think you are?" He also called the $150 fare a rip-off, plain and simple. New York Governor Kathy Hochul posted on X that $150 for a 15-minute train ride sounds awfully high. New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill called on FIFA to cover the costs. FIFA refused. And here's the part that even FIFA's supporters couldn't defend. In other host cities, transit fares are staying the same. Los Angeles Metro is locked at $1.75. Atlanta, $2.50. Houston, $1.25. FIFA was happy to thank those cities publicly. Then it turned around and refused to cover $48 million in New Jersey transit costs. You'd think someone would have said something. Somebody did. FIFA just didn't listen. Let's talk about the barrier that never made the front page. On January 21st, 2026, the Trump administration paused immigrant visa processing for 75 countries. Now, technically, that's not tourist visas. That distinction matters, and we'll come back to it. But of those 75 countries, 15 have qualified teams playing in this World Cup. Brazil, Colombia, Uruguay, Iran, Jordan, Uzbekistan, Haiti, Algeria, Cape Verde, Egypt, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Morocco, Senegal, Tunisia. That's 8 of the 9 African teams that have qualified. Cape Verde is a small island nation off West Africa with a population smaller than Atlanta. They qualified for the Men's World Cup for the first time in their history in October 2025. Their first ever World Cup. And that was only the first wall. Because on top of the visa processing freeze, there's a separate program called the Visa Bond Pilot. 50 countries on this list. Fans from those countries who want to enter the United States have to post a refundable bond. $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 per person. 5 qualified World Cup countries are on the bond list: Algeria, Cape Verde, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Tunisia. That was just the story for fans. Behind the scenes, it gets worse. Sports Illustrated confirmed that the State Department wouldn't rule out the bonds applying to the players themselves. According to The Athletic, FIFA has been actively lobbying the Trump administration to waive the bonds for athletes. As of this recording, no formal exemption has been granted. Average annual income in these countries sits around $5,000 US. The bond can hit $15,000 for one person for one visa. A family of 4 attending one group stage match would face $60,000 in bonds before plane tickets, before hotels, before match tickets. If you're wondering how that's even legal, so is everyone else. The money is, in theory, refundable when you leave. In practice, travel lawyers warn that recovering the bond requires navigating US bureaucracy from overseas after returning home. And the process has not been clearly explained by the State Department. That's money most of these fans will never travel with, let alone part with. Which means for Cape Verde, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Algeria and Tunisia, the financial wall is the wall, but the wall only goes up from there. While the visa bonds block fans, a different policy blocks entire nations. The Trump administration's travel ban hits 39 countries. 4 of them have qualified teams: Haiti, Iran, Senegal, Ivory Coast. For players, there are carve-outs. Athletes get waivers, coaches get waivers, immediate family gets waivers. But fans from Haiti and Iran, under the full ban, cannot enter the United States to watch their own country play. And then there's Iran specifically, because Iran isn't just on a travel ban list. Iran is at war with the host country. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched airstrikes on Iran. On day 1, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed. Iran retaliated with missiles and drones against US and Israeli bases in the region. A Pakistan-mediated ceasefire came into effect on April 8th. That ceasefire expires today. Iran's football team is scheduled to play all 3 of its group stage matches on US soil. 2 in Los Angeles, 1 in Seattle. And on March 12, 2026, while the war was still active, Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social, and I quote, "The Iran national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety." The President of the United States told a qualified national team to stay out of his country for their own safety. The Iran Football Federation responded that no individual can exclude a country from the World Cup and suggested the United States couldn't provide the necessary security if that's how its president was talking. Iran's Football Federation formally requested that their matches be moved from the United States to Mexico. FIFA refused, citing, quote, logistical impediments. Infantino's position publicly is that Iran has to come. FIFA has not explained how that works when the United States president has publicly discouraged them from coming. That's the kind of split screen that doesn't resolve itself. But FIFA's problems with the host government were just getting started. If you've made it this far, you already know this isn't a normal World Cup story. Hit subscribe so the next breakdown lands in your feed. We cover sports and politics every week, and the next one goes deeper on where the security money actually went. Now back to what happens when the host country can't get out of its own way. Last summer, Congress appropriated $625 million for World Cup security. 11 host cities, all Super Bowls in parallel, in logistics terms. The grant program's own notice of funding opportunity said the money would be released no later than January 30th, 2026. As of March 2026, roughly 100 days before kickoff, not one of those 11 cities had received a dollar of it. Congresswoman Nellie Pugh, the ranking Democrat on the House Homeland Security Task Force overseeing the World Cup, published an op-ed saying the delay was putting the tournament at risk. Miami's World Cup host committee testified to Congress that their fan fest, expected to draw hundreds of thousands of people, would be cancelled within 30 days if the money didn't arrive. Foxborough, Massachusetts, the 700-person town that hosts Gillette Stadium, threatened to pull the license FIFA needs to hold games there. The Department of Homeland Security was sitting on the funding. The secretary in charge, Kristi Noem, was later fired. The money was eventually released in April through FEMA Go, but many host cities said the delay had already damaged their preparation. And that was just the money problem. The other problem is what's supposed to happen at the actual stadiums. On March 19th, 2026, 3 Democratic bills were introduced specifically to bar immigration and customs enforcement from conducting raids near World Cup venues. The Save the World Cup Act, the Safe Passage to the World Cup Act, the Protect World Cup Attendees Act. Congresswoman Poe wrote that when she asked the head of ICE directly for a simple assurance that agents would stay away from the games, he refused. Her quote, "That is unacceptable." This matters in context. In early 2026, at least 2 American citizens were killed by federal immigration agents, Renee Good and Alex Pretty, both 37 years old, both in the months right before a tournament that expects 1 million international visitors. FIFA's own senior managers reportedly urged Infantino to personally ask Trump to halt ICE raids during the tournament. As of this recording, no such request has been publicly made. Unite here. Local 11, the union representing food service workers at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, has said it will go on strike during the tournament unless FIFA guarantees ICE agents won't be present. This is the part even FIFA's supporters couldn't defend. The host country can't guarantee that fans from qualified nations won't be detained while walking to a match. Let's add it up. One final ticket costs $11,000. Round-trip train to the stadium, $150. A single hotel night in New York in July, $400. A flight from London to JFK during the tournament window, $900 at the low end. If you're from a visa bond country, add another $15,000 in refundable deposits, just to attend one game. CNN interviewed a fan named Schwartzbach who'd scored 2 semi-final tickets for $1,600 through a National Supporters Club program. He cancelled the trip, told CNN the ICE raids and the social media vetting made it not worth the risk. David Goldblatt, one of the most respected sports historians in the world, told CNN this will end up being, quote, a World Cup for the 1%. So who's actually showing up? Corporate sponsors, domestic 5IPs, American fans with Super Bowl budgets, European superfans who can absorb the cost, and a very carefully curated international delegation that pass the various filters. That's the audience. Compare that to Qatar 2022. You can criticize Qatar on 1,000 different axes, and the world did. But the metro was free. fan tickets bottomed out around $69. There were no visa bonds. There was no presidential warning telling a qualified team to stay out of the country. The 2026 World Cup was supposed to welcome the world. 2 months out, it's doing the opposite. FIFA estimated this tournament would bring 1.24 million international visitors to the United States. Tourism economics projected nearly 1/3 of all US tourism growth in 2026 would be directly attributable to the World Cup. US inbound tourism fell 5.4% in 2025. The global average was +4. The World Cup was supposed to reverse that. Now, 5 weeks out, it's an open question whether it can. The real question isn't how many tickets got sold. The real question is whether the tournament that arrives in June is the one FIFA promised in 2018, or something that's only called the World Cup, because that's what it says on the trophy. If you want the next breakdown on where the $625 million in security money actually went, subscribe. See you next week.